Welcome back to the studio. I am Alex Yemek. Now, today I want to talk about 3 ways in which we waste our money. And I have to be precise in saying that, I'm addressing most of this to the African community, right? To black people, because this is where this trend is seen a little bit more. The very first thing that makes us spend so much money in the type of investment that doesn't bring anything are the way we celebrate weddings, right? The statistics of failed marriage nowadays is so bad. Like the percentage keep going up. Marriages are failing like nothing, right? It is a very sad thing. Now you will notice that 75% of marriages that are failing are those who invested a lot of money in celebrating their wedding day. So it shows you that these couples were more focused on material things, right? Showing off, than to think about their own marriages. And I give the crown to women on this one, right? So now try to investigate yourself. I'm saying again, right? 75% of failed marriages, if you look at the way they celebrated their weddings, they've invested a lot of money. And a lot of times these are, right, money they don't have. Some women, right, for them, that wedding day is the entire marriage. They will spend money, they don't care, they want to show off, they want everybody to see them. That sometimes men will go and borrow money just to celebrate a one day wedding, right? On this one day, they spend sometimes $60,000, $100,000. This is sad. I mean, you are asking yourself the question, what are they thinking about? Let me tell you, a couple that cares about their marriage, and most importantly, I'm going to talk about women because, women are really, more passionate about this day. A woman who cares about her marriage will think, okay, if we spend so much money on just a one-day celebration, what would happen with the rest of the wedding? Do we have a house? Do we have money to buy one if we don't have a house? How do we live after that? I mean, there are people who celebrate their wedding and have nothing to eat the following week because they invested all the money in it. I mean, this is a recipe for ignorance. I mean, how can you explain this? And when you look at the statistics of marriages that are failing, you would think twice before you celebrate your wedding. But nowadays, this is a trend, right? I mean, people are spending money that they don't have, borrowing money from a bank just to celebrate a wedding. Now, I give it to those who are in the business of, wedding planners, and, in the business of weddings. Right? I mean, these people are making a tremendous amount of money. I mean, you got to see these weddings, decorations, the way people dress. I mean, what is it that they don't have? And these wedding planners or, businesses of weddings, they can put any prices because the woman is like, look, if she wants to have something, she will have it. She doesn't care how much it is. Her thing is like, look, I have to be seen. And then they'll tell you things like, oh, well, it's just a one-day celebration. I want it to be very special. Man, forget that. Okay, forget it. You want to show off. That's what it is. You want to show the girls, your friends or the girls who were trying to get with your man who were not successful, that you are the one who's successful. You are the one who's getting married. You want to be seen. Now look at these marriages. Most of the time, these marriages don't reach 5 years. No, they don't, right? When you see one of these big weddings where, they just have all these nice stuff and then they do all these choreography of, dancing and all these things, pay attention to them, follow them throughout the years. They will not make it. Look, I don't wish you not to make it, right? I'm just saying, right? Most weddings that are celebrated in this way are weddings of people who do not really care about their marriage. Because smart people would not spend this much money in just a one-day wedding, right? The sad thing about that is that these couples will have children, right? Children will come in there, and then marriage will begin to fail. Why? Because maybe they don't have enough money to take care of themselves. And women that you marry who allow these type of things to happen, they're quick to leave you if you have financial problems. As soon as your finances just start crippling down a little bit, they will be the first one to say you're not responsible. Man, how can you, if you don't have money, why did you come and get me from my parents' house? Right? They came and got you, you participated in that. You were fine when you guys celebrated a big wedding. Now that it didn't work, you're blaming the man. Oh, he doesn't have money to take care of you. You, the women, you are the one who drove that entire situation into a failure. All right? Take your responsibility, because if you are a responsible woman, you will want to think twice before spending a huge amount of money for just a wedding. Okay? Especially in today's generation where marriages don't last. Once again, I don't wish anybody's marriage not to last, but it is the way you think. It is the way that you are going to reflect into your own future with your family, what you are projecting for the future, that will determine if your marriage is going to make it. So when you start to materialize your marriage, where it's like, if you don't have a big wedding, if you don't have this huge celebration, if you don't invest a lot of money into this one day, then you don't have a real marriage. When you start thinking that way, you are beginning the failure of your own marriage. Because if something goes wrong tomorrow, there's no more money, or the struggles, because every marriage just goes through that, ups and downs. So when the ups and downs begin to come, where specifically the downs, when you have to face some sort of a crisis into your marriage, you will not survive. You will be ready to get up and say, you know what, it is over, I need to go. Think about the future of your marriage and stop investing so much money in just a one-day celebration. Second thing, where people are wasting their money, specifically in African communities, right? Where people are investing money just to throw money away, are funerals. Funerals in Africa are just unbelievably disgusting. I have to say that. Please excuse my language. And I give the crown to men. I mean, how can you explain that people can invest so much money in burying other people, but cannot invest money when those people are still alive? They talk about, I'm going to give him a befitting burial. You definitely try to give something befitting, but to yourself. You're not trying to give anybody any befitting burial, right? You're doing it for yourself. You're showing off. That's what that is. Come see how they're investing money on funerals when people die. And I give kudos to people who are in funeral businesses. They are making extreme money in doing this. As soon as the person died, what is it? They take the body of the person, bring it to the morgue. Now that body can stay there for maybe 3 to 4, 5, 6 months, just because they're trying to plan the biggest funeral celebration that has ever existed in the planet. Yeah, this is madness, right? As soon as they put the body in the morgue, they have to wait for everyone who's overseas, right? In America, Europe, and all that. They have to wait for them to come. They are planning to come. They have to send them money and all of that. They have to plan on the uniform they're going to wear, right? They have to build the befitting coffin, right? Because they're planning for befitting burial. The greatest burial. They have to show that this man was someone, so they have to bury him with power and money, right? They have to show the whole world. They're planning on the road they're going to close. You have to see the things they are planning just for a burial. So finally, when the day of burial comes, right, the huge celebration, right, they're walking around with the coffin. They have groups of people dancing with the coffin and all of that stuff. People are dancing, pictures up, people wearing uniforms. They're marching to an entire street, blocking the roads and all that stuff. They're giving you a befitting burial. You really think people believe that crap, man? That you're giving people a befitting burial? You're showing off. You're showing off on somebody else's demise. In a funeral of another person, you come in there showing off with a lot of money. If you cared, where were you when the person was dying? When the person needed money to go to the hospital? When the person needed people? When the person needed some type of donation? When the person needed some type of support? Where were you? You were nowhere to be found. Yet, you are now here, celebrating yourself and calling yourself celebrating the person who died. You should be ashamed of yourself, man. Everybody's doing that crap. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. It's disgusting. Now, you're not even thinking to yourself, what do you really think you're doing for the person who died? What if, for example, if we were to look at the position of this person who you placed in the refrigerator for 6 months or 3 months or even a month, right? What if that person was suffering? Right? What if the spirit of that person was suffering while in that refrigerator? So he has suffered already, while he was alive, because nobody will bring money, to help him. Now he's there suffering even in death while you are showing off. You're waiting to be seen, in your big city, the big man, right? What if it was that way? If that is true, if that's what it is, if you are making other people suffer when you make them wait this long just to bury them, then you will go through the same process when you die. Because who killed by the sword must die by the sword. You will definitely go through that process. Right? The way you live, the way you are going to die. Right? You are there showing off, showing that you are so big and all that stuff. When you die, people are going to try to do that for you. You gave that person 3 months of wait just for you to try to show off in their funeral. They will give you 6 months. Right? The person who will bury you will make you wait 6 months because you did it to other people. If you want to really show that, right, you're doing something good, you can take that money and donate to the family of the person who died, for example, if they need the money, or maybe even take the money and spend it well, spend it somewhere needed. Oh, he died of what? Cancer. Or you know what? Why don't we invest money to try to see if we can find a cure for that type of cancer? Right? What if that will, you will have a better cause. If you don't know what to do with the money, man, there are many people suffering. Orphans and all that stuff, right? You can go to an orphanage and donate the money if you don't know what to do with the money. But stop trying to fool people into believing that you're giving people a befitting burial. No, you're giving yourself a befitting showing off. Okay? That's the second way in which people waste their money in today's generation. Let me give you a third one, and that I have to talk about it: churches. The amount of money people are investing in churches is disgusting. I have to talk about this because it comes back to, how we understand scriptures, right? Let's talk about tithing, because this is really where we are going with this. And I have to make this clear so that, people can understand this, right? Giving 10% into your church is not something that was endorsed by Jesus Christ. No, it wasn't. There's no passages that endorse that. And I'm going to give you some passages in the New Testament that address. In fact, these passages in the New Testament, every single time that Jesus Christ will talk about tithing or giving money, he's actually talking against the 10%. However, I need to mention very well that he's not saying not to give money to the church. That's not what he's saying, right? Giving money to the church has always been helpful. The church needs it, right? But giving exactly 10% is what is not endorsed in the New Testament. Just because something is mentioned does not mean it's endorsed. Okay? Right? So, I'm ready to have this discussion with everyone, and I hope that you have some type of knowledge of theology. Right? So if you don't, I will really encourage that you study theology, specifically if you're a pastor, right? It's not enough just to say, oh, I had a calling to become a pastor, right? If you truly had a calling and you care about God, you have to go study at least 4 years of theology, because God is the most difficult being that we can study. Theology is the highest, right, branch of study that anyone can do, because God is not easy to understand. That is why we study theology. Okay, so, and I'm going to give you some passages here so you can understand them, right? In a New Testament about this tithing of the 10%. When Jesus is talking about giving, he's always talking about giving from your heart. He does not endorse the 10%. So if you're in church where they're telling you specifically, oh, well, look, you got to give your 10%, you got to give your 10%, it is not right. That's not what is important, right? A few passages that you yourself can see. For example, Matthew 6, 1-4, right? Beware of practicing your righteousness before other people in order to be seen by them, right? This is one passage where Jesus is saying, look, don't do this in front of people, don't give in front of people. Right? He's talking about the giving. Give, but don't give in front of people. It's not about people seeing what you're giving, right? And you can continue reading that as well. So here's him endorsing giving, but not in a specific amount. He's endorsing giving with your heart, right? But he's focusing here on not showing off. This is one of them, right? And then you have, for example, Matthew 23:23. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you tithe, mind and deal and cumin, and have neglected the weightier matters of the law. When Jesus is talking about Pharisees, right, these are Jews, right? We're not talking about Christianity here. These are Jews. At the time when Jesus was talking about this, Jesus, right, is trying to teach the Jews, right, hoping that with the Jews, right, they will, understand the real message, right? So he's speaking to the Jews here. So the Pharisees are the Jews, right? And he's telling them, look, just because you think you're tithing, you can ignore everything else, like justice, right? And that's not right. So here's him again, saying that, look, tithing here is not a big deal. But he's not endorsing tithing, the 10%. No, he's not endorsing the 10% itself. But he's saying that just because you are giving, you are ignoring laws. Here's him again talking against giving money and thinking that you are buying, right, God or anything like that. Right? You have Mark 12:41-44, and he sat down opposite the treasury and watched the people putting money into the offering box. Many rich people put in large sums, and a poor widow came and put in 2 small copper coins, which make a penny. And he called his disciple to him and said to them, truly, I say to you, this poor widow has put in more than all those who are contributing to the offering box. For they all contributed out of their abundance, but she, out of her poverty, has put in everything she had, and she had to live on. See, this is a major passage that makes you read exactly, and that goes against tithing. The 10%, right? The 10%. Goes against tithing the 10%. He's saying this. This woman, what she put was just a penny, but she put her heart. She put everything she has. The lesson here is what? When you are only taking your 10%, you're putting, right? You're not even putting your heart. You already remove your 10%. It's like, all right, you know what? I'll get rid of this 10% every month I have to do. It's very simple. But when you come in and you are moved and you put in, with your heart, if your heart is moving you to put in a certain amount, it can be less, it can be more. But you're putting from your heart. You are thinking before putting. It's not just a matter of putting 10% to the side or 20% or whatever, but it's a matter of removing from your heart and giving. You're giving more because you're giving with your heart. You see? And this is one passage that, definitely goes against the 10%. Tithing and pride. For example, Luke 18:9-14. 2 men went up into the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee, standing by himself, prayed thus: God, I thank you that I am not like other men. Right? So, and you know this passage, right? Where a man goes in there and try to say, yeah, I do all these different things. All right, I tithe, I give my 10%, I do this. I'm not like this tax collector. And the tax collector say, God, forgive me, right? Forgive me, I have sinned. This is what we are talking about. Because you think you are giving 10% to the church, therefore you're buying God, you're buying justice, you're the best, you're who? See, this is Jesus, again, talking against the 10%. But he's not talking against giving to the church, right? Right? And you can go on and on, right? There are no passages in the Bible, no passage that tells you that you absolutely, and I'm talking about the New Testament, there are no passages that tell you that you should absolutely give 10% to the church. So when you are wasting a lot of money into churches, you go to church, pumping money, giving money, thinking that you're buying God. Oh, well, the more money I give, right, the richer I'm going to become. And then you believe that because the Bible says give and you receive, you believe, oh, no, I'm giving money means I'm going to be rich. That is a misunderstanding of the Bible. When the Bible says give and you receive, it doesn't necessarily mean that because you give money, you will receive money. No, you can receive other things. You can receive a healing, right? You can receive a job somewhere, right? So give and you will receive does not necessarily mean that I'm giving money, therefore I'm going to receive money, right? Misunderstanding of scriptures, right? So it's very important to understand it. So going to give all you have, investing all your most of your money into churches, right? Thinking that you will become rich, right, is a misunderstanding. And I give the crown here to both women and men, right? Here's where I give women. Women believe almost everything pastors say. They look at pastors as the next thing after God. Pastors say this and pastors say that and all of that. Men, please, okay? Forget that. And men, on the other side, their thing is that the more money they give, the more they will receive. That's how they see it, right? And so it's just a misunderstanding. So they go to churches and pumping money, those who have money, or call the pastor, say, Pastor, please pray for me, and take $1 million, give to the pastor, pray for me. Oh, pastor, all happy, and then put his hand on top of you and say, yeah, go, you will get that business. And that's the Christianity of today. Right? So that's 3 ways in which we, spend money or throw money away. Right? My advice is this: come on, man. You can be smarter than that, right? Very important to understand. Thank you very much for listening to my video. Once again, like I always say, I'm no preacher. I'm only a philosopher.